Ladies and gentlemen.
Hello and good vibes, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Good Morning Minute. I'm your host, Angelina Mojica, and I hope you're starting your day with positivity, purpose, and of course, I'm here to give you a cup of wisdom. Today, we're diving into the topic that's becoming more and more relevant in our rapidly changing work environments, and that is the generational gaps in the workplace. Have you ever noticed how different people from different age groups approach work, communication, and collaboration? Maybe you've seen younger employees push for more technology and flexibility, while more seasoned workers emphasize tradition and structures, with Gen Z, Millennials, and Gen X all contributing their unique strengths and perspectives. Today's workplace is a melting pot of generational diversity. But with that diversity comes both challenges and opportunities. And with that, I am so excited to introduce our guest today, Jill. And Jill, I'm just going to go ahead and hand it over to you. Why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jill Prince, and I own a company called Cleo Growth Strategies. And basically, we're business consultants focused on growth, as the name suggests. My background started many moons ago. I'm Gen X myself, and I've worked my whole career with people. I've worked in education and social services and all kinds of different industries where I've always been focused on people. I started out working with a lot of youth in a lot of different things like the school board and a national career magazine targeted at youth. Then I segued into business consulting. And I spent some time, I'm a certified health coach, and I spent some time doing, I became an internationally recognized stress management expert. In about 2016, I was working heavily in the world of stress and stress management. And now I'm a digital marketer, I'm an AI consultant, and I'm a certified online business manager. So it kind of brings the whole thing together from starting with the people and ending with the solutions on how you make it so that people can be productive and how you can make it so that organizations and businesses are sustainable and profitable and everybody's just happy and getting along, and we're leveraging talent instead of holding people back, if you will.
Oh, I love that leverage of talent. And I like that you're in the people business. I know for myself as a leader, it has become a challenge for me just to try to adapt to some of the changes. And I talked about it being a diversity in the workforce now. How would you, Jill, describe the key differences between the generations, Gen Z, Millennials, and Gen X in the workplace?
Okay. So we all know, well, I'm a Gen X, so we'll start with me. We love stability and autonomy. I mean, that's who we are. I mean, we were the original latchkey kids, whereas millennials, those are my sons-in-law, if you will. They're all about purpose and collaboration. And then there's my daughters who are Gen Z, and they thrive on tech and inclusivity. And, these kind of differences, they make the workplace so vibrant and dynamic. And from my perspective, things like AI and automation are the secret sauce to creating spaces where Gen X can feel secure and millennials can find meaningful projects. And then Gen Z, well, they can flex their tech skills, right? So for example, I'm certified in the AI persona method, and creating an AI persona that can analyze team dynamics and suggest personalized project roles, right, that align with each generation's strengths. Well, that would be a game changer for companies and organizations. And let's be real, if your workplace isn't evolving with these generational strengths, then you're missing out on a gold mine of talent. But it all has to be rooted in strategic foundations that respect these generational strengths.
Oh, I love that. And I'm in the work field of social work. So the adaptability of, chat GPT and all those things, like that has become a new skill that I'm starting to pick up on for sure. But I love that. And so you talked about having son-in-laws that fall in one generation and then children and whatnot. Do you feel being a mother of the different generations helped you be more open-minded into the diverse technology and just the rapid growth of using AI?
Well, I mean, I started using computers in the late 80s. I had my first website in the mid 90s. I started doing affiliate marketing in 2003. And then I just, I was a homeschooler. Like I unschooled my two children for their entire education. And, I was just faced with this prospect of modernizing their experience so that they were actually ready for the world of work. And I mean, it was a no-brainer for me that it had to be rooted in technology. So that's what I did. And I became an expert, if you will. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So do you think that the generations value, what do you think they value most in the workplace or their environment, work environment?
Okay. Well, Gen X, we like things to be very reliable and predictable. The millennials, they crave meaning. And I would say that Gen Z's biggest trait is that they want flexibility, you know? And if we as business owners, employers, if we if we understand these values, then we can help organizations create a workplace where everyone gets to shine. Like nobody's, eclipsing anybody else. In my experience, mixing modern tech with something like practical outsourcing, it's like giving your business a shot of adrenaline, because that's what I specialize in, is AI, automation, and outsourcing. So, for instance, if you utilize a virtual assistant service, say Fancy Hands or something else, to handle administrative tasks, then it will allow your team members from all the different generational cohorts, to focus on work that truly matters to them on their terms, right?
Mhm.
But if
Mhm.
your business strategy, the front end, if it doesn't align with this type of a value, then you're just going to be spinning your wheels. You have to have the strategic foundation that aligns work environments with these values. And using AI and automation and outsourcing are, of course, the ways that you get it done, but it starts with that foundation.
Oh, I love that. I love it. And to me, when you're speaking about the technology, I hear the passion because
Oh,
I just hear the passion in your voice. Yeah, you love it. You love it. And I hear the solution because it's a source that will bring us all together. However, because speaking as a Gen Xer, we do like that structure and stability, but that pulls us, learning something new pulls us away from what we're used to. How have you seen Gen Xers in the workforce be more open-minded and flexible to adapting to these new solutions and coming together with collaboration in the workforce?
So are you talking about things like teamwork and how do Gen
Teamwork.
X? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, if you take Gen X's experience, let's face it, we've been in the workforce for 35 to 45 years, depending on which part of the cohort you came from. And so we are the experienced ones, and then millennials, they're all about teamwork, and then the Gen Z is digital savvy. So you've got a recipe for success. It's like a dream team of different talents, right?
Mhm.
Personally, I love seeing how strategic growth techniques can bring the strengths together, using a collaborative platform like Slack. Like, so many businesses don't know about simple tools like that.
Mhm.
And if you integrate something like Slack with an AI bot to facilitate seamless communication across the generations, well, that's a no-brainer. If you're not leveraging the differences, then you're letting potential innovation slip through your fingers. And this collaboration flourishes when it's built on strategic foundation that respects each generation's unique contributions. So you really have to start with the strategic foundation, because otherwise, you will just be kind of like a fish out of water on the beach, right? Flapping around, trying this, trying that, but there's no
Yeah.
cohesion. So if you're really going to leverage the talents of the different cohorts, it has to be done strategically. Otherwise, you know, AI just becomes a loose cannon, or automation becomes a loose cannon.
Yeah. So, okay. So then how because with technology being remote working and, telework and all those things, and you're utilizing those opportunities. Now, I know the Gen Zs are like, yeah, that's for me. Where millennials do like the social gathering and the collaboration and being together. And then for me, I can take it or leave it with Gen X. Like whatever works for me. How do you bring together and still meet that social need in the workforce with, among the generations.
Well, you're talking about communication and problem solving. Is that what you're talking about? Like, how do we ensure
Communication,
that people are
how do
still being
we,
people?
yeah, that we're still being people, that we are still communicating problems at
Authentically?
work, or in troubleshooting, problem solving, all those things, but also meeting that social need, because I know that sometimes we can silo ourselves behind the technology, right? So
Yeah.
what kind of, I don't know, recommendations or solutions have you come across in helping fill that and still really bring that physical connection that a team.
Okay. So, I mean, we all know different cohorts, everyone's going to have their groove, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Gen X likes structure and millennials enjoy collaboration and Gen Z thrives in tech, right? So, all of these styles make work dynamic and interesting. So, I like to use AI and automation to streamline the simple stuff, which allows you to create time for the social stuff, because it's easy to get bogged down in the tools and forget that there's people all around you, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it's about moving the stuff out of the way that takes up your, like, call it the no-brainer tasks, use the technology to get that stuff out of the way so you have time for the collaborative stuff. And like Gen X, it's not just that we like structure, we also like to mentor, which is very social. And millennials crave that. And then
Yes.
Gen Z, they also like to be mentored extensively, but they want it to be short and sweet and to the point. And it's like, if
Mm-hmm.
you can tell me I'm a perfect person with an emoji, that'll make me happy, it's like, do you have some emoji that says I'm perfect? It's all about
Yeah.
validation, right? So,
Yeah.
there are many tools that will automate repetitive tasks. And that will allow you to boost your productivity. And then you'll still have time for the social and the interactive and the human part. I'm a stress management expert. So the idea of creating the conditions for the human body to make oxytocin, which is
Uh-huh.
the love, trust, and bonding hormone, or serotonin,
Yeah.
which is the respect and social inclusion and social influence hormone, like those things must be there, or nobody's ever going to be happy for any reason.
Oh, that is so true. That is so true. And then you mentioned mentoring and coaching. Just what do you think that looks like as far as uh, the across the generations, the different generations? I mean, you have to mentor, and you said short and to the point with Gen Zs, and then you just making that social when it comes to millennials. Any other suggestions when it comes to growing, that career growth and motivation to keep people wanting to develop in the workplace?
Are you talking about a tool that would help with mentorship?
Full with mentorship, or maybe some strategies and suggestions?
Well, I think that one of the biggest things that needs to be paid attention to these days is trauma. Like, every single person on the
Yeah.
planet has a trauma background. I mean, it's not the exception, it's the rule. If you look at experts like Gabor Mate, Dr. Gabor Mate, he has a new book called The Myth of Normal, where, this idea that some people are normal and some people are not is a joke, because everybody has trauma. So there's big T trauma, there's little T trauma. So when you're dealing with mentorship, you really have to start from the right place and
Mhm.
understanding the human condition. We are hardwired to move towards pleasure and away from pain. And we can't do that effectively unless our pasts are honored. Now, I'm not saying you have to be stuck in the past. In fact, that's the worst idea. But you
Mhm.
have to start from a strategic understanding that the past is a real thing. And every
Mhm.
single person, they not only bring their generational cohort to the table, but they also bring their personal life experience to the table. And so there are tools that can help, like, with that. So a platform like, I think it's called MentorClick, could help with that. But it's also about the strategy from the C-suite, the executive office, about, I mean, do we just expect our people to function like robots, or do we realize that they are living, breathing, carbon-based life forms, human beings? you know?
Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna have to get a list of all these tools that you're dropping in this interview because I'm
There's
just
so
like so
many.
excited. I
There's
know.
there's thousands.
I bet. I bet. Um, so let's jump into a little bit of that career growth and motivation. What do you think motivates each generation when it comes to career advancement and job satisfaction?
Along the lines of the tech, of course, Gen Z would love innovation. That's what they love. That's what inspires them. It's what motivates them. Millennials are seeking growth and purpose, and then Gen X values stability and recognition. So by tapping into the motivations, it keeps everyone engaged. From my standpoint, an AI driven career development platform like Degreed can really boost motivation. If you're not aligning career paths with generational values, then you're going to be missing the mark as an employer or a business owner. And again, it starts with that strategic foundation where you value aligning career paths with the generational values and the human experience. So, you really do have to,
Yeah.
like, that was my thing when I was working in career development education at the school board. I was actually a career counselor, and I created career development education programs like career prep, co-op ed, work experience. And, you know, I would set up, 600 placements a year. And that meant I was talking to multi-thousands of employers representing 16 different programs with students from grade 10 to age 65, special needs, diverse backgrounds. And so I really learned that the career path is absolutely everything, and it has to be honored. And it has to be honored on the terms of the person, not the company.
Mm. Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that happen a time or two in my own experience with hiring and the resignations and whatnot. But you do mention, and it brings to mind that work-life balance as well. Like what I come across when working with the multi generations, I see life before work, whereas being a Gen Xer and raised or mentored by boomers, it's always work before life. And so I've seen that shift, and I'm awakened by it, and I'm just do you think you can explain a little bit more about that approach when it comes to millennials and Gen Zs, that work-life balance?
So, I mean, the baby boomers, they are the post-war generation. So it was about survival, you know.
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
the work ethic was absolutely everything, My business partner is a boomer, a late stage boomer. They call them Generation Jones, I think. Anyways, um, Gen X came along. We were a much smaller cohort, and we said, enough already, enough of the work. We need balance. And in fact, it's
Mhm.
interesting because I'm a coach and a consultant, and I coach in many fields. I almost worship, like it's a religion, the wellness wheel.
Mhm.
And I want every single sector to be perfectly balanced. And I want that wheel rolling smoothly at all times, and I'm not willing to negotiate on this. So I
Mhm.
don't really care about what baby boomers say about work ethic, because I'm a hard worker, but I'm not an obsessive worker. And then, as the generational cohorts moved along, the millennials prioritized flexibility, and Gen X, like my daughters, like they are masterful at integrating work and life seamlessly. It's not even something they think about. They don't even wonder. And they look at a boomer who's obsessed about work and they go, "What is wrong with you?" you know? And it's true. I mean, what are you going to expect? They're 20, I forgot how old my kids are, 23 and 20, almost 25, right? And, so, but personally, for me, automation and outsourcing, they make that balanced work life possible. That's how you get it, right? You don't,
Uh-huh.
if you're threatened by it, then you're leaving all kinds of things on the table. And worse than leaving things on the table, you're actually going to be driving talent away, because for the millennials and Gen X, it's non-negotiable, you know? And so
Mhm.
if you're still driving boomer values down the throats of your workers, then you're in trouble.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I've learned the hard way myself. But also too, so you highlight because technology is something that is just coming into our society. It's here. It's growing. I mean, there's no running from it. You need to adapt. You need to grow. You need to learn. But it also, you when you're talking and you're speaking, you're bringing to mind the concept of work smarter, not harder. I know that's something that the generations, millennials and Gen Zs say, but it is so true because they, as technology experts, Gen Zs have come in and started to utilize those tools so that they do have more of their time free to enjoy life, to experience life. What do you think? What do you think in regards to that? I mean, as far as their understanding of how to adapt, how can we learn from that?
Well, it's funny because, the phrase work smarter, not harder could literally be my mantra. I should probably get it tattooed on the back of my neck or something. And, my husband was born in 65. We've been married, 2.5 decades. Wow. Anyways, the point is, though, that he's always talking about hard work, hard work, hard work, because his parents were war babies, and so is my mom, but they're war babies, and so they're post depression, and so like he was very influenced by that thinking, and so he's always work hard, work hard, work hard. And I'm no, work smart, not hard. I mean, you have to work. I mean, obviously everybody needs to work, but no, you need to be strategic. You need to be intelligent about it, and
Mhm.
you know, like sorry, I lost track of my thought. There are tools that can support this idea of working smart, such as like an AI persona method. So what you have there is, you've got these human resources issues, and instead of taking the time to sort out, this human resources strategy or that one, you create an AI persona that can do that hard work for you so that you can focus on the live interaction with the people.
Mhm.
You're
Mhm.
not stuck in your little cave trying to figure out how to solve a problem because AI did the heavy lifting and now you get to do the implementation.
Yeah,
Does
I
that make
agree.
sense?
I think I love that the technology is doing the things that it's doing. I really do. I love to dabble in there and get in there and take it apart, figure it out myself. Uh, and so shift a little bit, Jill, to conflict in within the workplace. What do you think are some specific areas where we tend to bump heads and we tend to um I guess hit those pet peeves or stuff? What do you see, or what has been your experience as far as most frequent areas of conflict among the generations?
Well, I think that the stress level is too high right now.
Mhm.
So it's causing people to be triggered, you know? And
Mhm.
so that's always going to amplify, anything to do with communication and conflict.
Mhm.
If you've got huge swaths of people feeling um, invalidated and underappreciated, then they're always going to operate from that place of feeling threatened, So the communication and tech differences are going to be huge, right? So it takes open dialogue to create a harmonious workplace. And, AI can actually foster understanding and collaboration. Like I can't tell you how many times I've used AI as a therapist to help me solve my personal problems. So, going into an AI and saying, this happened and it really sucked. What do you
Mhm.
think I should do? And the AI will, it's so like it just adapts to your tone, your energy, right? Based on what you're typing. So if you're really good at writing the prompts, then you can actually say something like that. And the AI will respond by saying, wow, it sounds like you're really struggling with this issue. I can really relate, or whatever, it'll say something like that, and, so, but you want to be using the tools to, to like, I actually used to work for the school board in New West, and I did partnerships with the Justice Institute on behalf of the school board. So I actually took training in conflict resolution, and I can honestly say that having AI as a tool to augment conflict resolution is it literally takes the whole industry and puts it on steroids.
Yeah, I love it. But AI is a growing tool and technology. I can't wait to see what it looks like in a few more years as it
Well,
continues
have
to
you heard
advance
of
again.
generative AI? Or sorry, not generative. Generative AI is what we have now, but have you heard of artificial general intelligence?
No, I
Okay,
haven't,
so
not yet.
that's the next incarnation is called um, or AGI, right? So
Okay. Uh-huh.
AI and AGI. And that is where the AI can actually operate from a place of human emotion.
Wow.
And so can you imagine being a human resources manager in your company or the owner, if we're talking solopreneurs and small businesses and founders, like, so you're the owner and you've got somebody coming to work who's just had a fight with their, young people having fights with their partners in new or struggling relationships, and they're
Yeah.
bringing that stress and trauma to work. And, here you are, this solopreneur who specializes in, I don't know, plumbing, right? And you're a plumber and you've got this plumbing guy working for you or a plumbing person working for you, and they're having this huge, so you can go into your AI and you can have a conversation and you can say, I've got this worker, they're having this problem and I'm just struggling with how I can support them. And then you're going to get all that guidance, and it's free. and then you
And
and then you
yeah,
take
free is
that
awesome.
knowledge, well, you take that knowledge
Yeah.
into your business and you sound like the smartest person who ever lived.
That's hilarious because I know that I've used the chat GPT just in typing up like an email or something, and I'll get the comment of, wow, this is like you're a writing expert. I said, please don't give me that much credit because that's
And you
not
know what?
true.
When you make a really good point, because the more conversational you are with the AI, the better
Uh-huh.
results you get.
And I've seen that growth. I've seen that growth just in that one tool that I use. So I do see that. I love it. Okay, so let's look at future outlook when it comes to our generations. What do you think, or how can organizations create inclusive environments that appeal to all generations while still embracing the differences?
So you're talking generation. Sorry, I misunderstood the question. Can you
Sure,
sort of
no.
rephrase
Let
it?
me rephrase. Yeah. So, how can we as organizations still be attractive to Gen Zs, Gen X, millennials, and while embracing they all come with different needs,
Oh, I
different
see.
values.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, you have to have the strategic foundation in your company or your organization where you value inclusivity. I mean, if you're not starting with that at the C suite, then you're going to drop the ball somewhere along the way. You know, Organizations, if they have that strategic, like if they have that core value, then, it's going to be much more possible for them to create inclusive environments that promote diversity. My 24-and-a-half-year-old daughter, she's actually on a committee in her organization called the DEI committee, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then she used to be involved with a youth group in Rotary. I'm sure you know what Rotary International is. Well, she
Yeah.
was in their youth group called Rotaract. And again, they had a committee on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And even when I worked for the school board back in the early 90s, I was on a committee about diversity, equity, and inclusion. So it has to come from the C-suite that it's a value in that organization. And then from that, you can offer flexible work options and you can celebrate generational strengths. There are like employee engagement platforms like Culture Amp is a great strategy, because if you're not embracing inclusivity, you're not only behind the times, you're actually in the wrong era,
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's not going away. I mean, there was all kinds of upheaval in the last 5 years across the United States, in this area. And, companies that aren't honoring it, well, they're just going to get lost in the dust. But again, it has to be grounded in the strategic foundation and the core values. Otherwise, it's never going to take hold. It's never going to have traction.
Well, I definitely appreciate that insight. So let me ask you, Jill,
Sure.
what generation do you identify with, and how has it influenced your approach to work?
Well, I'm a Gen Xer. I was an early Gen Xer. I'm born in 68. So I value stability and autonomy. Well, I mean, my company is called Cleo Growth Strategies. So what does that tell you? I value strategic growth techniques because they resonate with my generation's strengths, bridging gaps and connecting diverse perspectives. That's why, I believe in balancing that wellness wheel for everybody, not just myself, and also teaching my children, as an example, how they can do that indirectly with their coworkers, because these diverse perspectives, that's how we drive innovation. As I see it, leveraging AI-driven analytics is so beneficial, because if you're not using real data to drive your decision-making, then you're going to be flying blind. And it's most effective, that alignment is most effective when it's built on, again, a strategic foundation that honors generational diversity. So as a Gen Xer born in 68, it's my job to lead and mentor on this. And that's what I do, and I take the role very seriously. I consider it to be an honor, like a responsibility, and I'm honored to have it.
Well, I appreciate that. So Jill, if you had words of wisdom to bestow upon the listeners here, what would that be?
Well, I'm writing a book, and it's called Kicking and Screaming into the Future. And it talks about the downsizing epidemic that's going on from all the mergers and acquisitions and buyouts and collaborations in companies, which is just ripping across North America anyways, and probably Europe and other areas too. But people are being downsized en masse, and it's crisis level, because that's something that the boomers and the war babies didn't have to worry about. They didn't have to worry about being downsized when they were in their 50s, right? Or when they were in their late 40s. Like, they were pretty much guaranteed that if, you got to that stage of your career with a company, that you were going to end up on their retirement plan and be fine. But then all these consolidations started happening. And so the downsizing began, and these people are now like tearing their hair out with fear and worry about their retirements and their futures. And how do I help my kids and grandkids when I've just lost my job? Right. And so my advice, since you asked for it, is stop being afraid of technology, Gen X. We need you to lead. We absolutely need you to get comfortable with technology and actually fall in love with it, because the world of work needs us to use our wisdom to lead. And the only way that we're ever going to be allowed to do that is if we also understand tech.
All true. All true. So Jill, if a listener wanted to get in touch with you outside of this podcast, how could they do that?
My company is Cleo, CLEO, growthstrategies.com. And, you go to that page and scroll down to the bottom, there will be an opt-in form. And if you want any of my freebies, just opt into the list and you'll eventually get something, probably sooner rather than later. And then you'll be in my, world. And then you can follow what I'm doing, but it starts with the website, cleogrowthstrategies.com.
Awesome. Well, I am so thankful for your time and just your expertise in the subject. I want to learn more about AI, definitely, after speaking with you, and all the technology that is, all the tools that are out there. And I know there's a lot, but I definitely want to learn more for sure. All right, everyone. This is Angelina Mojica, your life coach, sending you much love, much peace, many blessings.